All right, so I'm really excited to welcome back Cantor Rabbi Jacquie Marx. She taught a wonderful session for us last week, and today we'll have the continuation of that. Let me just make one or two notes first before we do that. First of all, you all know the drill in terms of the technical briefing I give. Please, if you're comfortable, please do have your camera on. We are recording, but our recording will only be in speaker mode once it's on YouTube, so you'll only be seen if you do speak. Cantor Rabbi Marx is, as you're going to hear in a moment, is in a public space, so she's having a little trouble hearing us, so she's got her captions on. She should be able to hear. If we run into any trouble, we'll use the chat feature for that. We'll figure it out. I also wanted to make just a brief, I just wanted to make a brief announcement about our year-end campaign. Many of you, or a few of you may have gotten an email from me, and you might have seen in yesterday's Allah Soak Weekly that we are running a modest campaign, year-end fundraising campaign to raise about $5,000 toward accessibility, meaning we want to make sure that all of our classes can stay accessible, financially accessible for anybody who wants to study with us. That means keeping things like Tikva through text free, keeping our drop-in programs free, keeping our study groups affordable, and also toward the drop-in and the Tikva through text programs in the second half of the year, making sure that we can continue to have vibrant and interesting classes like this. The Tikva through text program costs about $2,500 a year to run. I am 100% committed to keeping it free and want to make sure that we can all continue to study together. And so if you are so inclined, and if you have a little bit of capacity to give a gift to support this program, you can do that at the link that I just dropped into the chat. We're looking to raise, like I said, $5,000, and about half of that goes to support this very program. So if you enjoy this, if you would like to make sure we can continue to study and find hope in our texts every year, please do consider a gift of whatever capacity is possible for you toward our year-end campaign and toward Tikva through text. And with that, I'll shut up, lead us in the blessing for study, and then turn things over to Cantor Rabbi Marx. Please join me. If you'd like to unmute, you can unmute, and we will say the blessing for study together. Baruch atah
Ata Adonai,
Eloheinu melech
Eloheinu melech
haolam,
haolam,
asher kitshanu
asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu
Pray
la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Torah.
Blessed is the Eternal whose mitzvot bring us holiness and who commands us to immerse, to engage in words of Torah. Cantor Rabbi Jacquie Marx is a rabbi, a cantor, a mother, a writer, a rabble-rouser, I can't even read my own handwriting here, a comedian, a cancer warrior, and is located in Carlborough, North Carolina. And I'm so excited to welcome her back. Cantor Rabbi Marx, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Boker Tov or Sorayim Tov, depending on where you are. It's probably Boker Tov for most of us. And I apologize in advance. A situation beyond my control warrants that I am in a public place because my daughter is taking some final exams at her college. And because it's finals week, there was no private place for me to go. But I'm lucky I found a place to plug in my computer and get my shares ready for you. And so today we're going to talk about hope from the maw of the pit. And I'd like to kick things off with a little song by one of my favorite artists. Try not to get, I'm not making any political let's see. I'm going to ask if I can do a share, Rabbi Micah.
Yes, I forgot to make you co-host.
Great!
Okay, now you're good to go.
All right, I promise not to kidnap everybody and go to Hawaii today, although there's somebody in Hawaii already. That might be fun. So, share sound, optimize for video sharing, check. Here is a song about rock bottom.
ways to go, straight up and sideways. I have seen my share of hard times, and I'm letting you know, straight up is my way. Things are tough all over, but I got good news. When you get down to nothing, you got nothing to lose. I was born naked, but I'm glory bound, and a dead end street is just a place to turn around. When the sky is the limit, up on easy street, rock bottom ain't no place to be. Rock bottom ain't no place for me. No, no.
It's probably safe to say that rock bottom is where Joseph finds himself. So I begin with a question. How do you harbor hope when your life has suddenly toppled all the way from acme to abyss? Now, how many German Jews do we have in here today? All right, Landsman, okay. So my parents and their whole generation came from that particular old country, and I got to know two of my cousins who went from Germany to Israel. May their memories be for a blessing. But my cousin Hanan, who was born Hans Kohn in Germany, was a little bit like Joseph. He was kind of a spoiled brat, and his mother called him a Goldkind, a golden child. Like maybe he was just as good as Gelt or even chocolate Gelt. There was a story where he was at my grandmother's house, my mother being his first cousin and her sister, and they were going to have dinner, and my grandmother had made this cake. It was one of those very, I don't know what you call it, like a gel, like a torte cake. It was tall and it was soft, and little Hans stuck his finger in the middle of the cake and all came tumbling down. And my grandmother wanted to kill him, but her sister, Hans's mother, defended him and said, "No, don't you touch him. He is a Goldkind." So that's the thing. Joseph is the Goldkind. At the beginning of the Parsha, Joseph is the favored one who can do no wrong. Now, it's been said that you can't spoil a child with love. And in the South, we say when you love a child up one side and down the other, one of two things can happen. Or maybe they both can happen. Either, number one, they get so spoiled that they are not just spoiled, they are ruined, and there's no living with them. That pretty much happens here with Joseph. Or number two, the love that is lavished on such a kiddo emboldens them, makes them kinder, gives them the armor to deal with life outside the house, that they can take with them and approach situations with a measure of confidence and high esteem because they've been raised to believe that they can. That pretty much happens with Joseph as well. In fact, in the Israeli army, when you're in the army the first day, they call it Yom Rishon Bli Ima, because Israeli children are not, I wouldn't call them spoiled, but I would call them emboldened the way Joseph was to the good. Because you take an Israeli kid, graduates high school, serves in the army 2 or 3 years, does the gap year, goes to college. By the time they get to college, they are pretty much a fully cooked human being. So pretty much, I think any American college students are pretty much all of these people. So here's Joseph the Stinker, who has been raised with lots of love. Yes, indeed. Very few rules. I didn't say first day without mommy, did I? In Genesis 37, verses 12 through 22, even his father Jacob has gotten fed up with him and his dreams of grandeur, his dreams of corn and stars and all the other eaves of corn and the stars are bowing down to Joseph's sheaf of corn and Joseph's star. And Jacob gets really pissed, excuse my French, and says, "Are you saying that even your mother and I are going to bow to you?" And Dad keeps the matter in mind. But then he gives Joseph a little piece of responsibility. And when he sends Joseph out to check up on his brothers, they see him coming from far off. They're really mad at him by now. They've had it with him. And a little piece of chance happens. He's looking for his brothers, and a random individual that we never really identify, but we could talk about it till the cows come home, but we won't hear, but you can save that for another time. This random individual who is never named, is it God? Is it an angel? Is it his Uncle Herman? Directs him to Dothan where his brothers come. And they see him coming from afar off, and they want to kill him, but Reuben the eldest says, "No, let's throw him in this pit." And so the wheels are in motion to take Joseph from pampered to Potiphar to prison. 3 P's. So while in Potiphar's house, after Joseph is pulled from the pit and sold to Midianites who sell him to Ishmaelites, who sell him to Potiphar, God is with Joseph. Rashi interprets this as God's name was a familiar name in Joseph's mouth. And the Rambam, Maimonides, counters that this could not have been true, but rather Potiphar, though not a Hebrew, can see that God is with Joseph, because Joseph is successful in every piece of work that he undertakes for Potiphar. So is it the chicken or the egg? Is Joseph successful because God is with him, or is God with him because he's successful? And how did Joseph hear about God in the first place? That was a pretty big family. Maybe somebody, like his patriarch father, told him at some point about the covenant. Maybe. So Joseph gets promoted until he is responsible for everything. He oversees everything in the house except for the food that goes onto Potiphar's plate. The Torah says that even God blessed Potiphar's house for Joseph's sake. Would you like to discuss how it's possible that Joseph was so highly favored and so faithful and hopeful in God's help? Or I could go on. All right. Life's ups and downs. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Rabbi Micah.
Well, let's go to Aviva and Yehuda first.
Okay.
We're discussing the story here as you're telling it to us. And Joseph does everything in God's name. There's no one who's been like him before, and that he credits everything to God. And he's always done that. And he's got this in his own way. He's got this bigger view because of it. And it's probably a view beyond his years.
And we're told that he's 17. So
right.
It's a pretty mature 17.
Right. And I mean, he's got it going, and he credits God all the time. There's no one ever done that before.
He does. And it's a great dichotomy to be A, pretty pleased with himself, and B, give the credit to God. Let's see, Bob?
I think he has a strong sense of himself, and whether it's because of one side or the other side or both of those attitudes that you described from his parental effect, he carries that with him whether he's up or whether he's down. The other thing, by the way, we always talk about Jacob here, but I don't know the time interval between Joseph and Benjamin, But Joseph had his mother around, the favored wife Rachel, for quite a number of critical years in his upbringing before she died in childbirth. So he had a good influence, I would say, or a good understanding of himself from both sides of his lineage.
It's been said that even if you lose a parent at the age of 7 or 8, if you had an equitable relationship with that parent, that does set you up positively for life. We know that Joseph is old enough to be an adult when Benjamin is still a very young man, but that could be. Rabbi Micah?
Yeah, I don't know the genesis of all this, no pun intended, because we're reading Genesis. But I think of Joseph as an optimist. Joseph always seems to believe that he will be okay. And I know this is, in some ways, this is what you're talking about here, like hope from the pit, right? But when Joseph's in the pit, he seems to believe that he'll get out of it. When Joseph is in jail at the end of this week's Torah portion, he the the courtier that where he interprets the dream, he says to him essentially like, "Tell Pharaoh I said hi." Right? That's a ridiculous comment. Joseph is a nobody. He's in jail. He's a slave. Why would he think that this courtier would remember him to Pharaoh? So Joseph sort of refuses to believe what society tells him about himself, which is you are worthless. You're not worth much. Right? And because he believes in his own self-efficacy, I think he then probably acts in ways that help make him successful. In the same way that, like, if I believe that I'm bad at basketball, then I'm not going to practice basketball. But if I believe that I can get better, then I will practice, right? So it's sort of like having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Joseph seems to believe that he has some kind of self-worth and that he's capable of getting better or bettering himself, and therefore he does somehow.
Lovely. That's great. Today we are told that if you can dream it, you can be it. If you can imagine it, you can do it. Creative visualization, which isn't easy to do, but it does seem to work in a lot of generations. Now, the only time that Joseph seems to be shaken is life's ups and downs do continue to happen. And if Joseph's fortune sounds a little too good to be real, presently the wife of Potiphar fancies him and issues a proposition to him in the form of a command. Lie with me. She doesn't ask him, she commands it. Now Joseph fears God more than he fears or fancies Mrs. Potiphar, and he says no. Fear marries fancy in the music of Joseph's turn down. And you know what? Instead of sharing, I'm just going to show you. Can y'all see? No, you know what? I'm going to share it. I'm going to share a word. This is a really descriptive word for... Oh, man, that's... Oh, wait. Oh, you can see it. You can see it. See this pretty little word right here? Vayima'en. One word which means he refused. And you see that squiggly line above the aleph? That is the trope sign, and it's called a shalshelet, which is Aramaic for the Hebrew sharsheret, which means chain or bracelet. So this word vayima'en is set to this rare disjunctive cantillation mark, and so vayima'en, when you chant this in the Torah, it's going to sound like this. Vayima'en. So my question for you is, what is Joseph's mood at the moment of refusal? I love it. I'm seeing some cool reactions there. Let's see some raised hands, and we'll call on you. Or maybe you're just cracking up. Okay, David Robeson. Oh, you're muted.
So it's kind of operatic in its dramaticness, and full of emotion and intensity. But I also want to ask if this is the first time in the Torah that a woman expresses sexual desire.
Not really. I think Rebecca refers to it when she's told she's going to have a baby at the age of 90, and she says, "Who would imagine
Sarah.
at this old age I could still my juices are still flowing." So, yeah, she would like to want to have enjoyment. I actually thought you might ask if this was the first time we saw a shalshelet, and no, there's a couple of them around the time that Isaac is born, because Yitzchak means he laughed, and you can sometimes interpret the sound of a shalshelet as laughing. But yeah, so good, Bob. Who else wants to comment on the sound of the shalshelet? And so, his word says no, 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 but his trope says, I don't know. What do you think is going on here?
I think Bob is
Well,
next.
yeah, well, it shows in the appearance of it, and as you describe its name, as well as the sound, that he's going back and forth.
Wackaloon.
And maybe it has to do with the right brain and the left brain. And one of them is the emotional side, and the other is the more rational side in terms of remembering Hashem.
The fear of God, even greater than the fear of displeasing his master. I was going to say the right brain, the left brain, the little brain.
I don't think his master has anything to do with it here. It's
No.
just that the conflict between desire, the emotion, and restraint.
Well, his master has a little bit to do with it, because part of what he says to Mrs. Potiphar when he says no is, "Look here, my master left me in charge, and I'm in charge of everything but the food on his plate." So, like,
That's just an
that's part of
excuse.
my no. Yeah, I know. Always an excuse. So apparently nobody turns Mrs. Potiphar down. So she not only pulls a Me Too, a wrong Me Too on her with her servants, but she tells her husband as well, who throws him into prison. But so now we've gone from pit to Potiphar to prison, rock bottom. Nobody bails you out in ancient Egypt. But this is not just any prison. Genesis goes on to say that this is the Beit HaTzoar, the royal prison, where only the Pharaoh's prisoners are jailed. This word is a double setup. Soar is an Egyptian word, and it sets us up that Joseph's going to meet two Egyptians, that we will soon meet the royal butler or cupbearer and the royal baker. Oh, and guess what? God remains with Joseph in prison so that he finds favor with the chief jailer. Does prison humble Joseph, or was he really maturing all along? So his penchant for interpreting dreams is soon called upon, but this time he's not offering, he is asked. He says, "Only God can interpret, but I'll be the messenger." God gets all the credit. So God is given credit, and Joseph is generous and a bit humble, and it also lets him off the hook somewhat when he has to deliver the bad news to the baker that he's going to be hanged in 3 days. And although the butler is soon freed, he forgets Joseph for at least a couple of years, until the Pharaoh says, "I've had a terrible dream, I need an interpreter," thereby jogging the cupbearer's memory. Now, Joseph is all over, he starts out kind of selfish. He's extending Gemilut Chasadim all over the place. Can a person increase their sense of hope by extending themselves as Joseph is doing with Gemilut Chasadim? Oh, you're right, I should unshare. How does this work that Joseph is doing increase his level of hope? I see a hand. Wait. Rabbi,
If others have comments, please jump in. But this makes me think, you
Oh,
know,
I'm sorry. Gemilut
yeah,
Chasadim are extending acts of loving kindness.
yeah. Thank you for the reminder for us to always translate Hebrew
Sorry about
terms.
that.
We don't want to assume that anybody knows the terms. So I was thinking, studies show that people are happier when they give. Not when they have more, but actually when they give more, right? So as a society, we measure net worth by how much you own, but what you are worth is not necessarily equal to what you own. And we often have a greater sense of satisfaction and happiness when we give to others versus gaining more for ourselves. And I actually think that that is scientifically proven.
Very good. Sarah? You are mute. Oh, there.
Piggybacking on what Micah just said, gratitude also. I think that what we see as Joseph continues to tell us that he is at one with God is an expression of gratitude for this gift of that connection that he has felt from the outset of the story. And so, like what Micah just said, gratitude also is one of those things that affects our brain and how we respond to others and our sense of well-being in the world.
It's been said that we are at completeness not when we have what we want, but when we want what we have. And so every time Joseph mentions God, he's not just saying Hashem, Hashem. He's using God's working name and thereby invoking God and owning God's love in him and his trust in God. And so that's a beautiful way to express hope. All right, so we have about 1 more minute. Do we have any? Oh, Aviva and Yehuda. And I'm coming to Hawaii, babes. Coming there.
Well, I have a sweater on. That's very unusual for Hawaii. It's actually cold here.
Relatively.
So growing up in Israel, it's very, very obvious, and anybody who visited Israel after October 7th, it's very, very obvious that the beginning of the healing after October 7th was by doing for others. The amount of groups that overnight were created for anything you could think of. Birthday cakes for children whose parents were in the military. Like a fancy pastry chef. That's what they're doing. Not to mention all the obvious things like doing laundry for soldiers, hosting families who don't have homes to go back to. And this went on for years. It wasn't just a week after October 7th. It became sort of the culture of Israel all around. Not just among religious communities, all around. That is the definition of why the national anthem of Israel is Hatikvah. There is something that you do when you're down, and that something brings 2 parties up, yourself and whoever it is you're helping.
Wonderful example of this. One of Aviva's best friends lives in Katsarim, which created Netafim, the main drip irrigation company in the world. They sold a lot of it recently, so they had money to spend, and they decided to rebuild Be'eri within their own community. They literally built a unit for every single family that was displaced.
Is there any way I can be in touch with you to find out more about this?
Sure, call us up.
You know what?
I can make
I'm
that
going
connection.
to put my phone number in the chat, and if you could, I don't mind making this public, and you can email me. There you go. That is my contact information, and if I can talk to y'all for a little while today, if you don't mind that, I'll at least start a conversation with you, because thank you. All right, everybody, it's 12:31, and I have to begin to let you go. I don't want to let you go. I'm having the greatest time with you. And I think I'm going to have to continue to take this class, even when I'm not teaching it. But I'm going to end with a little song for Hanukkah. Banu Choshech Legaresh. We are here to banish darkness. Banu Choshech Legaresh, Beyadenu Hor Va'esh. כל אחד הוא אור קטן, וכולנו אור איתן. סורה חושך על השחור, סורה מפני האור. סורה חושך על השחור, סורה מפני האור. We have come to banish darkness. We have light and fire in our hands. Each of us is a little light. Together, we are a great light. Thank you all so very much. It's timely to wish you Shabbat Shalom, Chag Chanukah Sameach, a sweet, whole festival of Hanukkah. Oh, look at all this love. I love you. I love you. Mwah!
Thank you so much.
You've got your kisses.
And let me just pick up, that's a perfect segue because next week I'll be teaching and our topic will be increasing in light. So I want to thank Cantor Rabbi Marx for teaching us a second week in a row and for doing so in not the easiest circumstance. Thank you, Jacquie, for making this work.
Thank you for bearing with me.
And I look forward to seeing all of you again next week. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Thank you,
Shalom.
Rabbi Micah. Thank you, everyone.